All right, we're here at the old AQUAPROS headquarters. Got my main man right here.
What's up, guys?
A couple of his tanks down here in the old basement.
Exactly. 240 breeders. So these are 2 of 3. We got the 3rd tank over here. Still working on it, taking my sweet time, but you know, one day we'll get to it soon. We have a lot of tanks in here that we need to get working on. But these are the 2 that I have so far. Can you? I'm sure you've seen a couple of these. You've seen these tanks before, haven't you? Or some of the stuff that's in them.
Yeah.
But we can chat about some of it if you want. This tank is my Haunted Woods tank. It's got mostly Kurai tetras in it. There's also the glass catfish, so that was my kind of spoof on having ghosts in the Haunted Woods. Kind of cheesy, but I don't know. I have fun doing that stuff every once in a while. There's also a couple Emperor tetras, the larger ones. I think they go really well with the Kurais. So there's a couple of those, and then there's like an auto sinkless in there, and then I also got some coral in here. Cause why not, right? Cause why not? So I don't know anything about coral. Those are Ken's coral, by the way. But yeah, that's that tank. And then this one, right over here, we have some stuff from good old Robbie over at Flips. And so there's probably, I don't know how many he sent me. We never really fell on a number, but there's like at least like 50 crystal reds in there. So you're probably getting a good shot of one right there. Just a mix of different grades, different S grades. And yeah, these shrimp are doing really nice. I think I'm happy with the scape so far. The moss is all done pretty well. And there's Christmas moss, and then there's mini Pelia, that's the darker stuff on the lava rocks. And then we have hair grass and Anubias pangolino down here, and kind of on these little trees that I tried to make. And yeah, this is a fun scape. I like this one a lot right now. How's that CO2 going over here? I think that one needs to go up.
All right, so what's the deal with these tanks? It looks like that you might have removed framing or something off of them, or have they always been rimless, or?
Yeah. So these are just Aqueon 40 breeders, and you know, going with the whole theme of like the fancy aquascaping, you can't have a rim on your tank or else that just kind of distracts from, it can distract from your scape. So what I did was I removed the rims, the top and the bottom, and then I've just added on a piece of 1/4-inch glass here to act as a brace. Whether or not that's 100% necessary is kind of up in the air, but I always like to have the peace of mind. So that's siliconed in place there, and I think overall it just gives it that fancy look that would, you know, if you want a tank like this that's made to be rimless, which is also, you know, a really great option and probably the better option for most people, it's just going to cost way more money. So this, I mean, you get them when they're on the $1 per gallon sale. Everybody's pretty much familiar with that. You can modify it and then you can get this kind of like classy look, or at least that's what I tried to achieve. And then down here for stands, these are just Petco. They're called like the Brooklyn style stands. I like them just because they're super flush. And then I've just kind of gone ahead and got some rare earth magnets and made these little fronts. This is just some super thin, I think it's like 8-inch plywood. I haven't done anything to it yet, but it makes it so where I can just snap those on. They work some of the times. Most of the time they work. A little finicky, but I don't know, I think it's pretty good. It's not finished, but you know, we're working on it. So down here, might as well just like show equipment and stuff because people are always interested in that. I'm just running Fluval 206s, the canister filters down here on each one of these tanks. And then I have I think it's a 10-pound, yeah, 10-pound CO2 tank with some Aquatech regulators. We both know, we were up at Aquarium Co-op. I got some new gear that we're going to be changing up that's probably going to work a little bit better, maybe, hopefully. But this is good equipment if you're getting started for sure. So this goes up to a 6-way valve, and so it's running both of the tanks right now. And I have the option to, you know, do up to 6 tanks if I wanted to. And so yeah, that's kind of the most important stuff down here. But then of course I have my backlights that I do on the tanks that I'm really into these days, and so all of that is just kind of a mess down here. My cable management could be a lot better, but you know, one day at a time when it comes to this stuff. So so yeah, we are running CO2 in both of these tanks, and we will on all three, and most of the tanks that I do down here will do that. I tend to do that even on tanks that are quote-unquote low-tech, because I feel like it's just always something that is better than doing... my mentality is that it's always better to give the plants everything they need versus maybe be depleting a few of them of what they need, if that makes sense. So I just go all in with it, and everything seems to be doing pretty well. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I apologize if this tank's a little crazy. There's a lot of detritus in this tank. It needs to be cleaned. We were, gone for more than a few days. I need to get some new moss in here and whatnot, but this tank gets a lot of food, and that means there's a lot of detritus. So it can be a handful sometimes.
All right, so that's all the tanks down here. Do you have tanks elsewhere in the house, or? Yeah,
we got a couple upstairs. There's not a lot, but we could go check out a couple.
All right, let's go.
Drink liqueur.
All right, so we're upstairs now. Who is this guy?
This is Richard. So this is the little dragon scale half moon placat beta fish, and he is in this tank that needs to get rescaped soon. The light's about to shut off, so it's a little dark, kind of hard to see him, but yeah, just a super simple layout, some dragonstone, some mosses, and so this tank, people always ask me, I believe it's an 8-gallon. It's I can't remember the brand. It might be an Aqueon tank, honestly. It's like a kit, but it was called the Ascent, and it might be another brand, so I apologize for that, but it has this kind of weird angle on it where this is the lid that sits on it. That might be a better shot of it. A lot of Sylvinia up at the top of the tank, which I like. I think betas appreciate as well, but this is actually where the light fixture was. There was actually LEDs that were attached to this thing, whatever you want to call it, and there was like a weird filter that came with it. So I got rid of all of that, scraped off the black like coloring that was over this so it would work with the light here. We just have a Phoenix LED on top. So super simple setup, just a little HOB on there. And like I said, things are going to change with this setup here pretty soon, but it works really good for the time being. And there's also a couple Cory cats in there hanging out somewhere, but they're pretty shy. All right, keep it lever rolling. And then if we kick some boxes out of the way and send against suitcase, this is the most recent tank that I set up. So this is the Dragon Forest scape, and as you can tell, it's starting to mold over. So we got the white mold starting to show up here, and it looks like we have some brown fuzzy stuff as well. Super common when you use wood in an aquascape that hasn't been submerged before, so that's just something that's going to happen, and it should go away. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than what you typically see, which is a couple weeks, but you can always just get in there with like a toothbrush and manually remove it if it's really bothering you. Some fish will also pick at it, but it's not dangerous to any livestock that you have in your tank. So this obviously isn't planted yet. It's going to get planted here pretty soon as I get a few more plants, and I think it should be a fun scape, but one that's going to take a ridiculous amount of maintenance. So there's going to be a lot of moss in here. If you imagine all of these sticks back here, pretty much covered with moss, and having to do maintenance on that, huge pain in the neck. So it's something that you just have to get used to when you go for these more kind of elaborate scapes. It can sometimes be tough to keep them looking the way you want them to look, and so the goal is to always put in the hard work up front and the patience to get the tank balanced to where you don't need to do a ton of maintenance later, and you can sit back and enjoy it instead of it being something that weighs on you. So we'll get started with this one soon, and I'm excited to share it with my audience, and hopefully your audience likes it too. Okay, probably the last tank that I want to show off in here. I'm keeping the tank behind me. Well, it's not a secret. It's just it doesn't look very good right now. So we're gonna just show this one off. This one also does look very good, but we'll get some maintenance going in here for you. Turn this into a educational maintenance video, right, Ken? Yeah. Use your mag floats. This is my super overgrown cube. It has some Blue Dream shrimp in it, as well as some chili rasboras. And it needs some work. Like I said, it's super overgrown. We have Monte Carlo mixed in with some dwarf baby tears down here on the carpet, and as you can see, the carpet is like 3 inches thick. So that needs to change. That needs to get mowed down. And there's a ton of Japan clover, which is pretty much all you can see up here. It did used to just have a small amount of this clover, and it had Monte Carlo just growing on a nice little kind of scene of lava rock, but you obviously can't see that anymore. So it's something that I need to get to working on, and I'll probably end up doing a pretty big overhaul on it just to get things back on track. But I did like the way it looked for a long time. That's partially my excuse for not, not taking care of it right away, because I sometimes I like the overgrown look of a planted tank. I know a lot of other people do too, so I'm gonna go with that as the excuse.
It's a great excuse. Yeah. Great.
Thanks, man. But unfortunately, I think that's all the tanks that I have that are worth showing off. I'm working on getting more of them, so I don't know. Another day, another tank, kind of a thing. I wish it was like that, but it's not. We don't get to do that many tanks, but.